Welcome into the CLNS Media Roundtable, Red Sox Roundtable, hosted by myself, Nick Quaglia, with Michael Sedapani, Ethan Winter, and Adam Ballou. Biggest roundtable we've ever had. We've got 4 people on this week. No Lauren. Lauren's been on. Has Lauren been on all of them so far, Adam?
I think so.
You know what? Good. We have to kick her off at some point. She can't hog every roundtable.
It's a guy's night tonight.
It's a boys' night tonight. It's Monday, but Mondays can be for the boys too. We're going to talk about 2 big things tonight. We're going to talk about Red Sox pitching. We're going to talk about Red Sox pitching, mostly David Price and Eduardo Rodriguez. And we're also going to talk about the Red Sox 1/3 of the way through the season. So how do we feel about the Red Sox at this point through the season? Mike, what do you think? Are they overachieving? Are they underachieving? Are they exactly where you think they should be? What do you think?
I think they're a little bit underachieving. Not to say that they started off the season poorly. It's just that they're in second place. They're only 2 games back of first place, considering all the drama that's gone on with this team so far. But I think for the most part, they're underachieving. I thought they would be a little bit better to this point. Obviously, I think the Yankees have been quite a surprise, but if you look around the American League, they're not even doing that bad. But I thought they would be a little bit more consistent. Obviously, they went through a couple weeks of the season where they weren't playing that well. They lost 3 out of 4 to Oakland. Obviously, they turned it around after that. I thought they would be a little bit better. Not to say that it's been a disappointment up to this point. I just thought they would be a little bit better right now, 1/3 of the way through the season.
Adam, what do you think?
I agree with Michael. I thought they'd be a little bit better, but they're just super inconsistent. I mean, as soon as it looks like they're getting things together, whether it's be their offense or their pitching, they go and lose 2 games and they can't hit against guys like Christian Bergman and Wade Miley and so they're just very inconsistent. The hitting's inconsistent. The pitching has been a lot better, but early in the season it was very inconsistent. And for an inconsistent team, that's what they are. They're about a 500 team right now. They've been playing a little bit better. So hopefully this continues, because that AL East is so jumbled up right now. Everybody is within like a few games of each other. Even Toronto's gotten back in this. So, I mean, I think this division's going to come down to a couple games here and there. So, I mean, they need to take advantage of things right now and keep it rolling. But I think I thought they were going to be better. I thought they were going to be ahead of everybody in this division. I thought the hitting would be better. I thought the pitching would be a little more consistent. So, I think they're underachieving slightly, but they've been playing better lately, so hopefully it keeps up.
Ethan, what do you think? What's on your mind about this team 1/3 of the way through?
I mean, I agree with everything, with what everybody has said. I think my overall observations of this team, 1/3 of the way through, is that they've underachieved a little bit. I think, as we've clearly heard, that we all think that they could be better, a little bit more. You see all across the line, you see guys underperforming. Hanley Ramirez isn't at the ability that we know he can. Same with Mookie Betts. This is kind of off to a slow start. Guys that we've right. I mean, yeah. So I mean that goes to my point, is that the guys that we thought we would be getting or seeing more production from are either on the 60-day disabled list and aren't, or they're underperforming.
I would say that I think that they're underachieving, but at the same time, I think that I think we were a little unrealistic about this team. Being Boston fans, we all overhype everything. For the most part, there's a few of us that are negative. Mike being one of them. I find myself.
I'm one of them too.
Adam's the king of negativity.
Thank you. That's a compliment.
He's only half a Boston fan, but they might be exactly who they're supposed to be honest with you. This is a team without a true leader. In their defense, we did expect Dustin Pedroia to more or less be the team leader. Clearly, he hasn't been a team leader. And I forget who said it today, but I kind of agree with him. Either EEI or the Sports Hub. I'll give one of you guys credit for this. It was Christian Fourier on OMF. Chris Sale seems like he's the team leader of the Red Sox right now, which is awful, which is horrendous. He's been on this team for about 3-4 months, and you're telling me that this guy's our leader? You're telling me this guy is the leader of the Boston Red Sox clubhouse? Maybe that's why this team has been so underperforming. They've got talent across the board, but there's nobody to push them. They look like they show up to the ballpark every day. They look like my men's slow pitch softball team showing up to a team that we know we're going to demolish. That's who but they don't demolish teams. They're flat. This team is missing leadership, and they could win the Americas. I think they still will. They have the talent. They just have to figure out who they are without Poppy, because the lack of David Ortiz has really been prevalent to this point in the season. 1/3 of the way through, they might be exactly who we think they are.
And I'm leader of this team because you need a leader of the rotation anyway. But I don't know leader. He's not very vocal like Ortiz was. And that's the type of leader that this team is missing, is the vocal leader that's going to gather guys around in the dugout and tell them to, like, let's go.
And we saw that in 2013 when they were down the World Series, and Poppy told them all, you don't get here this often. We have to step up right now. I don't think they have a guy who would do that. You might have Chris Sale, who's going to fire you up like he did when he threw at Manny Machado. But there's no one guy who has been on the Red Sox for a few years. Again, if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Dustin. And Dustin doesn't seem like he's been that guy. And that might be the downfall of this team.
But I do think the Red Sox are turning it around a little bit, though. They did win their past 3 series, and they did come back after losing the first 2 games against Baltimore to salvage the split of the series. So I think we're getting a little bit of more consistency recently than they have earlier on this season.
Their offense is supposed to be their token point, and it hasn't been so far. Like you said earlier, I think it was you, Ethan, Mookie Betts hitting about 260. That's not going to get you anywhere in this league. This is the guy who came in second place in the MVP. He should be one of your power hitters. He's back up into the leadoff spot because he just wasn't producing in the 3-hole. He struck out after like 120 something consecutive at bats without strikeouts, and now we're seeing multiple strikeouts out of him. This team has to gain consistency and find their identity, because I'm looking at a team right now that doesn't have an identity.
And the funny part about this too is you say all that and they're only 2 games out of first place,
which shows you the talent that they have.
And I also think it shows that there isn't really a dominant team in baseball, especially in the AL East. I think it's more about
Houston's pretty good.
It's Houston.
Houston is good. Washington is also good, but aside those 2 teams, it's very kind of mediocre. There's only 8 teams in the league with records above 500.
That's bananas.
So I think that has a lot to do with the fact that aside from 2 teams in the league, there's really not a dominant team that's really blowing anyone away.
Adam, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, I think, teams have overachieved in the AL East too, while the Red Sox have kind of underachieved, or
the Yankees.
The Yankees, even Tampa Bay. I mean,
yeah.
Do you see Tampa Bay's roster?
Yeah, they're not.
It's Evan Longoria, and that's basically it. I mean, they have some solid pitching, but I think they lead the league and they lead the majors in home runs.
Yeah,
Logan Morrison, they got rid of Forsythe and Evan Longoria lost his mind, and they're like a couple games out. They're a couple games over 500. Toronto was awful, but now that they're back to being a 500 team, they're playing a lot better. I think Baltimore's been okay. Machado's been awful. So I think everybody.
The Red Sox.
Yeah, I think everybody. The last I looked, I think it was like last week. Everybody was within 5.5 games of each other. With the exception of Houston in the AL. So I mean,
now one aspect of this team that has been, I would say exactly what we kind of expected, barring injury, was the pitching. The Red Sox just got David Price back on Memorial Day. He made his first start, gave up 3 runs on 2 hits, 2 walks, and then a home run to Melky Cabrera, I believe it was.
Yep.
And then his last game, which was on Saturday, was a gem. 7 full innings. He pitched like the guy that we thought the Red Sox signed for $31 million a year. What do you guys think about David Price? Mike, what do you think about David Price and his return?
I thought it was very encouraging, especially after...
And the overall pitching staff.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was very encouraging for Price just because he got knocked around in Pawtucket, and he got... I wouldn't say knocked around, but, he gave up that home run to Cabrera, as you said, and I don't think he was as crisp in his last start as he was before. So I thought seeing him bounce back against Baltimore was huge because now the Red Sox are going to need Price. I mean, you've seen what's happened to their starting pitching depth. Stephen Wright out for the year. Obviously, they traded Clay Buchholz in the offseason, and then Eduardo Rodriguez falls off the mound, and now he's out 3 to 4 weeks with his knee again. And
he's such a daisy. He is such a daisy.
I think he's made of glass. It's every year something's up with him, and he can't stay healthy for a full season. But the Red Sox are going to need Price, and if Price pitches like that, I'd be ecstatic. Because last year I was on his case a lot. Adam can probably vouch for that. But if Price pitches like that, he'll shut me right up.
Adam, I know you're a big Price guy.
Oh, I loved it. Oh my God. I was in heaven watching that game on Saturday. I had to do the recap. It was fantastic. I thought he looked great. I like the pace that he pitches at right now. I don't know if it's confidence or if it's Chris Sale rubbing off on him, but he seems to be pitching a little bit faster. It looks to be very confident, and he knows what he wants to throw. And that's going to be huge because I'm a Porcello hater, and Rick has not been very good this year. I mean,
Rick
there has been some games where he hasn't gotten any run support. I understand that. I think he's been about what you should expect from him, like a 4 ERA. Obviously, he could have got a couple more wins if they would have scored some runs for him. But Erod was probably the second best pitcher on this team, and now he's out for God knows how long. And what are you going to get from him when he comes back? Is he going to be able to be confident? So, Sale, I think he has dipped. He's come back down to earth, I think. And Pomerantz, you have no idea what you're getting out of Pomerantz. I mean, the last 2 starts have been fantastic, but do we actually think he's going to be able to keep that up? Probably not. So, and this bullpen, I have no confidence in this bullpen that they're going to be able to get you like 3 or 4 quality innings. I mean, Kimbrel will get you a quality inning, but Farrell has no idea what he's doing with the bullpen anyway, but that's a whole other issue. So I think Sale and Price, you're going to have to ride those guys, and they're going to have to be, at a very high level if this team's going to win the AL East and contend.
My thoughts on David Price and his 2 starts coming back, I think, are encouraging. I mean, he was in line to win both of those games. He could have won his season debut if Matt Barnes didn't blow it in the 8th.
You have no confidence in him.
Well, I think you mentioned burning guys out. I think Matt Barnes already is starting to get burned out this season.
Right, and if those guys are burned out, then you're going to have Smith and Thornburg in these high-pressure situations in these really important games in August and September. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to have a whole lot of confidence in them if they're just coming off the DL. I mean,
but that's also what you got. Smith and Thornburg.
Right, you got them because they were healthy. You want healthy the guys though.
Pitch in
Thornburg's not pitching this year.
Situations.
Thornburg's done. We may never see Thornburg in a Red Sox uniform. His contract is now. Next year, he could miss the whole year. We traded Travis Shaw. Dombrowski traded Travis Shaw for dirt, for literally nothing, for a roster spot. I don't know if you guys heard this, but Dombrowski said the other day that they're still diagnosing Thornburg. It's been months.
They have no idea what's going on. They have no idea what's going on.
This goes to my theory is that Dave Dombrowski is overrated as a GM. Yes, he's made great acquisitions with signing David Price, trading for Chris Sale and Craig Kimbrel, but there have been at least as many bad trades or signings that he has done in the first couple years as the Red Sox GM or president of baseball operations. And personally, I think my time with him is getting thin. I think he's on the hot seat, even though that's a completely different topic that we didn't plan to discuss.
Stop the fight. The CLNS Media Roundtable is over for the night. I wish we could keep going, but we are on a restricted time limit here. CLNS Media, Nick Qualia, Ethan, Winter, Adam Ballou, Michael Sedapani, said it right 2 times in a row now. We will talk to you on the next CLNS Media Roundtable.